wanted to ask you a couple of basic questions about Burns Night.
Sure.
Before we run out of time. So, the simple, most basic question we always get about Burns Night is literally just, what do you wear? What is the proper convention or custom for Burns Night in terms of how you dress?
Your favorite word, context. It depends on the formality, if you will, of the Burns Night that you're going to. Now, Burns suppers typically are less formal than a formal, gala, and they're not really a ball. It's generally a gathering of friends. Basically, simplifying this, a gathering of friends, hanging out, drinking, eating haggis, and reading poems.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So you will get some that are a little bit more formal, or it'll say generally on the invitation, formal dress, that kind of thing. But for the most part, a lot of them are like tweed, like smart day wear. So tweed jacket and vest and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So look to your host to specify?
Yeah, absolutely.
If they don't, is it safer to assume it probably is a day wear kind of a thing, or?
Yeah, I'd say if the host doesn't, the host should specify.
I would think
if
so.
If you directly ask them, but they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's anyone's guess. I'm not telling.
Mystery Burns Night.
The showing up in a toga. No,
God.
It's generally, I'd say, the majority of them are a little bit less formal. Now, it's not going to be t-shirt and a kilt and a pair of combat boots, formal, casual, but it's generally going to be smart day wear kind of dress, unless they say formal. But yeah, there could be some that are very casual. Mm-hmm. It really depends on.
Sometimes pubs host them these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a brewery right down the road from us called Sly Fox, and theirs I'd say is very casual because
Extremely.
It's literally just whatever you're wearing after work. You head to the pub,
right? And
there's usually a couple dozen of us in kilts.
Yeah.
But it's generally very, very casual.
Now, if I'm going to a Burns supper, is there anything that I have to do? Do I have to assume that there's any ritual element to it that I'm going to have to participate in? Or can I just go and observe and just hang out?
It depends on the supper itself. A lot of them, you'll actually recite Burns poems. Sure. Robert Burns was the national bard, or the bard of Scotland.
The bard.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's effectively the Scottish version of Shakespeare kind of thing. He's very, very well known. His poem is the number 2 most known song in the world. Mm-hmm. The most known song in the world is Happy Birthday. Number 2 is Auld Lang Syne.
Yep.
So Robert Burns is the gent that penned Auld Lang Syne. Generally at Burns suppers, that is part of the pomp and circumstance, if you will. Mm-hmm. The festivities for the evening is you hang out, you drink scotch, you have a toast to the haggis, you eat haggis, and then people generally recite Burns poems. So check with your host. Most of the times you don't need to memorize it. Now, that being said, it is written in Scots or Broad Scots, or what's it written in?
All the above. He did a few different dialects, but yeah.
So if you will butcher a Scottish accent, I would say have the poem in front of you and don't try to butcher it or don't try to do it. Mm-hmm. Just read it as it's written. Mm-hmm. There are some poems that are a little bit shorter, a little bit easier to know.
Yep.
Again, Auld Lang Syne. You can literally just read that. And it's one of those things where you probably know half the words already by heart. Mm-hmm. But he has, a whole, catalog of poems.
Poems and songs. Yeah, I would say he did write a few in English, like we said, and you could, if you have time before the event, and somebody's specifically said, "Hey, Joe, we want you to do a reading for us," you can choose one of those. One of my tricks to get around, if you're worried about butchering the language, is or memorizing a whole poem, is you don't even typically have to do an entire poem. You could do some of his favorite quotes. You could do some of the words, like some of the stanzas from the poems, or lines from the songs, or even some of his personal quotes, which he's also famous for, so that you can recite a few of those, and you'll usually get the reaction from people after each one. So that's another way to expose people to his art and kind of think a little outside the box. If you're going to be part of the actual ceremony of the Burns Supper, you're going to have a chance to rehearse. I mean, if they ask you to do the address to the haggis, which is the high point of the whole thing, they're trusting you to do your best, and you're going to put your own spin on it, of course. But you'll definitely have lots of time to rehearse. You're not going to show up at a Burns Supper and they're going to throw a paper at you and say, "Hey, you got to do the address to the haggis. Congratulations." I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it happens. But yeah, that's how I would play it.
And one last thing I would say, a little bit of liquid courage will go a long way when reading poems in front of a large group.
Yep.
Therefore, your honest sons of fays, great chieftain of the pudding race, upon them all you take your place, pinch, tripe, or fair. We, are you worthy of a grace? Langs me out. The groaning trenchard there you fill. Your heartbeats, like a distant hill. Your pin would help them in the milking time on eve. While through your pores, the dews distill, like amber beads. His knife, see rustic, labor dick, and cut you off with ready slits. Trenching, your gushin, entrails, break. Like only dick. And then, with a glorious sick. And on for on they stretch and strive. Do you think the hindmost on they drive till all the wealth will help be live? Are bent like drums. And then, old Goodman, Master Ride. Thank you. Is there who, or his French ragout, or your Stella Sue, or fricassee to make a spew with perfect scorn at, looks down with a sneering, scornful view on sick dinner? Poor deal. See him. Or his trash. As speckless as a withered rash. Shank of good flesh. His knee. And through the flood of filth at last. How unfair. But not. The rustic. Haggis fed. The trembling earth resounds his tread. Clapping his woolen eagle blade, he'll knock a whistle. And their legs, and arms, and heads will sneeze like haps of thrift. Divorce, what make mankind your care and mark them out their bill of fare. Oh, Scotland wants nae skinking ware, the chops in luggies. But if you wish a grateful prayer, ye have.